I made a video a while back titled "This Could Ruin the Guitar Industry," and it was regarding Donald Trump's, at the time, newly released tariff list, which encompassed insane import tariff percentages for every fucking country in the world. Of course, Rhett Shull then made the exact same video after mine with a more provocative title and got way more views, but that's not what this is about. Those tariffs were largely negotiated down with the respective countries, and everything was calming down a bit again. And then recently, the news came that Mr. Premier President Supreme Leader Trump is abolishing the de minimis import fee threshold. Fantastic news as usual. Just kidding, that is horribly bad news for the guitar industry, and let's talk about why today. If you don't know what de minimis means, it's a phrase or a principle applied to many things, and it essentially just translates to pertaining to small things. So when applied to import tax, it means that below a certain threshold of value, whatever is being imported will not be subject to an import tax. And since 2016, this threshold for imports into the US from anywhere in the world has been $800 US. A reasonable threshold since most things are generally under $800, right? Like if you think about what you buy day to day, most of what you purchase is going to be under $800. And this applies to a lot of guitars as well. As long as the de minimis treatment is in place, Americans can still happily import a Harley Benton guitar from Thomann, a Gojira Effects guitar pedal from the UK, or even a Jet Guitars JS50AB from Gear4Music in the UK, if you are so inclined. However, starting August 29th, which is not very long from now, all of this is out the window because that is when Trump's new executive order abolishing the de minimis is taking effect. Allow me to read you an excerpt from the official White House website. Section 2. Suspension of duty-free de minimis treatment. The duty-free de minimis exemption provided under 19 U.S.C. whatever shall no longer apply to any shipment of articles not covered by that, regardless of value, country of origin, mode of transportation, or method of entry. Accordingly, all such shipments, except those sent through the International Postal Network, shall be subject to all applicable duties, taxes, fees, exactions, and charges. Translation: you want to import a $200 guitar pedal? You owe Uncle Sam some cash. There will be idiots in the comments under this video already typing something to the effect of, just buy domestic, then you won't have to issues with tariffs. But aside from the fact that those people are suggesting that you limit yourself to one nation's output in musical instruments, when there is such a vast pool of musical output to be discovered beyond made in USA stuff, it doesn't make any fucking sense to begin with. Not everybody has the money for a made in USA guitar. That's sort of the reason people tend to go for imports from Asia. American labor is expensive. Nobody is buying a Harley Benton because they think it is better than something made in Europe or made in the USA. They are buying it because it's affordable, which means that they can afford it. But even if you are buying domestic and choosing to support a cool small luthier instead of a Goliath asshole company like Gibson, that builder still needs to import materials, and for a small luthier who puts out a dozen or so guitars a year, the de minimis likely helps keep overall costs down, because somebody like that isn't importing thousands of dollars worth of wood and hardware at once. So just buy domestic hardware. Nobody is doing that. I'm sorry, but nobody is doing that. Godo, Schala, and the Korean import division of Hipshot are three of the most popular choices for even high-end guitars right now, for a reason. They are the best accessible stuff on the market. The Schala Harness Bridge is just one of the coolest features to have on a high-end 6-string, and that's not changing. Nor does it need to. And if you were going for something truly luxurious, meticulously crafted from the highest grade materials available, well then you're still going with something European, like K-Tar tuners from Italy. Countries depend upon another to make any industry run smoothly, but especially this one. For a decade and a half now, the US has also had the Chorus FTA, or the Korea-United States Free Trade Agreement, which eliminates most tariffs on goods traded between both nations. Now, if you're into guitar gear, the nation of South Korea may play a bigger role in your life than many others' lives, and that is because of factories such as World Music in South Korea. You know, the factory that builds Schecter, PRS SE, Ibanez, Dean, BC Rich, Guild, Eastwood, Gretsch, Ormsby, everything. And they are not the only factory. Court have their own big Korean factory. Mer Music is the factory responsible for brands like Reverend. I've got a Korean-made Reverend right here. What else is made in Korea? Well, let's see. The Floyd Rose 1000, Hipshots Import Hardware, Wilkinson Hardware, most of your fucking truss rods. Are you seeing a pattern yet? The US is the largest economy in the world, and it makes up for at least 25% of guitar sales worldwide, if not more. This is bad news for our industry. Extremely bad. Not some tariff list full of empty threats that will still be negotiated down anyway, but a genuine threat to guitar and music gear manufacturers. Quick interjection, I forgot to mention something. Don't worry, same guy, just a different corduroy jacket. But something that I forgot to mention is that this is also going to basically help monopolize the entire guitar industry back into just Guitar Center brands. The reason for that is that most small to mid-sized manufacturers have to pay up front to get their guitars built, or to build their guitars if it's a small team, and then basically hope that they sell after they are built. Whereas the big giant Goliath companies like Gibson, like ESP, like Schecter, whatever, can pretty much have the entire batch pre-sold to dealers before even placing the factory order, because they are just in such high demand now that, yeah, a lot of this stuff is pre-sold. You see it all the time with something like the Schecter John Brown signature guitars. Fucking John Brown was touring with a pre-production prototype model of his own signature guitar because all of the other ones had been pre-sold to dealers. That's how in demand these are. And so for these people, it's not really an issue. Their existence does not depend on, whoa, are we going to sell these? Because yes, you are. So not only is this going to harm non-US guitar and gear brands whose main customer base is guaranteed to still be from the US, like 50% if not more, but it's going to hurt everybody. American manufacturers who aren't big enough to guarantee that all of their stuff is going to sell right away as it gets manufactured. The companies manufacturing the parts that are imported even for American-made stuff, everybody is getting hurt, everybody is losing, and the only people winning are the ones that the tariffs are going to. Real shocker, that. There's a pedal and amp company from around here in Germany called Jupiter Effects. You might know Jupiter, or you might even know Lichtlärm Audio. Both are German amp and pedal manufacturers, and for both, a significant portion of their sales come from people in North America. And in fact, Jupiter recently posted this on Instagram literally 2 days before the signing of this new executive order. That's because nobody could have seen this coming. It wasn't voted on, it hadn't been publicly discussed. The president woke up one day and decided, you know what? Screw all of you. If the tariff thing in general had been executed a bit more diplomatically, say if it had been scheduled to take effect sometime in 2027, that would have still been stupid, but it would have given people in every industry time to pivot and make the necessary adjustments so that something like this doesn't completely screw them up. But alas, everything that has happened in the past 6 months has been poison for an industry like ours, and especially taking away the de minimis and therein those free trade agreements with Korea is going to be a big ouchie for guitar manufacturers and especially end customers. So if you're American and you've been wanting a nice stone-deaf fuzz pedal or a nice set of bare-knuckle pickups, which previously would have fallen under the de minimis quite easily, hurry up with that. You've got until the end of the month to get it across the border before it gets expensive. God bless America. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you around.